You know, if you were to ask me when I became an anime fan, I could give a rough estimate of the first few anime I watched as a child. Not counting shows like Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokémon, since everyone saw those as kids, and we all thought they were just more cartoons. What I want to consider the first true anime experience for any fan is the show that clicks something in the brain. Maybe it's having them buy manga for the first time, looking for more anime fans, or who knows, researching Japan. And I have a few anime that could have done that to me, but I can't say for certain which. While I love shows like The Big O, Nor, or even Galaxy Angel, none of those shows really fully clicked me over. But one anime that I know did. Today, we're going to talk about my favorite anime and manga of all time, Fruits Basket. Class is now in session. After a freak accident in which Toru Honda lost her mother, she started to live with her grandfather, who was the only one who would take her in. After which, her grandfather informs her that he needs to have his house renovated. Toru, fearing criticism of her family and not wanting to burden her friends during the renovation, results to secretly living in a tent. One night though, on her way back from work, she finds her tent buried underneath a landslide. Yuki Soma, the prince of her school, and his cousin, Shigure Soma, stumble across Toru's situation. They invite her to stay with them until the renovations are complete. However, living with the Somas is not easy. Behind the sea of darkness, as well as the living with two bachelors, life is not always easy, especially once Toru discovers their secret. If a Soma is hugged by someone of the opposite gender, they temporarily transform into one of the animals of the zodiac. Some of the Soma members like this curse, some revel in it. Others despise it and want to find a way to break it. The real question remains is, will Toru's very kind nature be enough to prepare her for the drama and the pain that comes with knowing the secret of the Soma family? Now, if there's one thing I love about this series, is that it has comedy and a deep emotional story, and I personally like every character in this show. And the soundtrack is also really nice as well. There are also quite a few life lessons we can learn from this series. From the innocent traveler story to the umeboshi quality scene, there are so many great stories and life lessons in this show. But if I chose my favorite, at least from season 1, it would have to be the episode that introduces Kisa, the adorable girl cursed with the tiger spirit. We see that she has been getting bullied in school, but she is afraid to ask for help and doesn't really know how, as she doesn't want to cause issues for her mom. This scene here with Toru explaining this to Kisa's mom was something that broke me. I'm not sure why, but after hearing this speech and quote is when I decided I needed to buy the manga for this anime, and this was the start of my fall down the rabbit hole. Maybe it was something I needed to hear, but who knows? I'm uncertain. That was 20 odd years ago. But what I think really got me was the quote from Yuki.
It's not like I've suddenly become stronger or did anything to change, really. My body still trembles, but I'll keep facing my fears. What's important is that my weakness inspires me to improve.
I believe this is not only an important quote to understand, but it's also important to understand for Yuki's character development. At this point, he was being pressed to run for student council president, but he was afraid to. However, after witnessing the scene with Toru and Kisa, he decides to accept the position. And this is something we all need to take to heart. As I mentioned in a past video, life is not always sweet like a Sakura kiss. It is sometimes bitter like an umeboshi. It does not matter what you do or why you do something or which path you take to improve yourself, but the desire to want to change. As everyone's favorite uncle once said,
"You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place."
Now, my other top scene from season 1 was the scene from the Momiji story about memories, and how his mom doesn't remember who he is because of Hattori's powers. The scene is very touching, and I do feel it was done slightly better in the 2001 version, mostly because of the music, and the emotional delivery felt better. The 2019 version was also well made, but to me, it doesn't hit on the exact same level, but it still makes me think about the meaning of his words. Memories are very important in life, with every passing moment. Bad memories are just as important as good memories. When we look back on the past, we can use the memories to learn from our mistakes. For example, if you have terrible friends who can't cook and they tried to serve you purple curry, you keep that trauma with you anytime they are in your kitchen. And this is why I feel memories are very important to people. However, sometimes it is easier to forget, which is what we see Momiji's mom do. She decided to give up. She didn't want to embrace the curse like Kisa's mom did. She just gave up and decided to forget Momiji was ever born, which to me is really, really sad. Let me know down in the hate lab below what you would do if given the option your parents chose to forget you. The final scene I want to mention today was that in episode 6. Which I felt was done better in the 2001 version. This is the scene where Toru was picked up by Kyo and Yuki from her grandfather's house. We are told that it's okay to be a little selfish sometime. Sure, we can always like the innocent traveler. Sometimes that can harm us more than we realize. Now, there is a lot this series does very well and has a lot I can unpack from many angles. I don't want to have a 40-hour long video to edit during my winter vacation. While I do love this series, I'm now gonna focus on a couple issues that keep it from that perfect score. Let's start with the main one. There's an ongoing plot in the background about this blue ball cap and how it connects young Toru to young Soma as well as young Kyo. And look, this is cute, don't get me wrong, I love it, but it does stop me from giving this a 10 out of 10. This hat does show us a connection, but it makes it a little tricky, as it's not some crazy design, not some crazy emblem, just a plain blue ball cap. Like, do you know how many blue hats exist? Like, this is a connection, it pops up a few times, and I just have a slightly hard time with it. Now, another issue I noticed, but it probably is only me noticing this, is I wanted to know why the Somas are cursed. This is a question that was never answered. Like, before modern day, what happened if someone found out? How did they prepare themselves to be so protected in modern time? Who was the first one cursed? What was life like for them? Were they burned at the stake like witchcraft? Or was it something completely different? This is not a big issue by any means. I love lore when I'm reading something, so this is something I feel like would have only benefited the story. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are doujinshi out there about the first generation Somas. I have no idea. Outside of that, I don't really have any complaints. To be honest, I enjoy the fact we got a full canon sequel that follows the children of the original cast. I believe we've finally reached a good spot to end this video, as I could talk more about this show, but I don't want to start to become really repetitive, or this video is never going to see the light of day. For reference, I've been working on this script for over a year, but writer's block be damned. And I'm not going to try to make this video perfect, as I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite shows of all time. With all that said, thank you so much for those of you who stuck around to the end of the video, and if you like my ramblings about anime that not many people talk about, do me a favor, enroll in my class by hitting that red button by my name. Also, do let me know down in the hate lab below, what was the anime that made you an anime fan? This has been a wonderful year making videos for you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you all enjoy your Fuyu Yasumi, and I will see you all next year. I'm Professor Plague. Class dismissed.